off the Carnival season, which I did with Tricanal, you know, my annual sojourn with those guys, and working in my studio with my voices. I coach voices daily. So a lot of the people who come in, I go from classical singers to high school students to the pros coming in to getting themselves touched up for the season, and I call that my day job. And then at night I get to make my own music with my band Medea. So that's generally how my days go. There's Medea the band, and it comprises of myself, my husband on guitar, and Renee Couriat on drums. And the other components vary. It's whoever is available when I have a gig. And can you come? I need a bassist. Can you come? I need a pianist. And I usually have to go out and audition those every time I have a gig, or play myself. It depends on the gig. And then there's like Medea Productions, where I try to have, you know, musical productions for the students in my studio once a year. We get together and we have something. Last year it was a rock concert at Shakers. The year before that was a classical evening, music of Bach and Schumann and Schubert and stuff like that. And this year it's going to be a jazz session. But when I finish with my performance series this year, which ends at the end of July. So the Divas project, that came about because John Michael Thomas, he had called me a couple of times to do stuff with him, and the time was never right, or schedules just were not right. And this time he called and it was right. So I said sure, and it's myself and Kay Alain and mezzo-soprano Lillian Lopez and Inga Schlur on violin, and we're going to go get together and make this thing happen. This just came about at the right time, I think. I wanted to explore outside of my band. A lot of people who knew me before knew me as a classical singer with the Trinidad Opera Company or with Belvedere, my old choir, and coming back with this new voice of mine. I've been trying to find a way to platforms to express that, and this opportunity came about this year. So when he called, I said sure. It's so funny, I do this character called Diva in the Tricanal show, and that thing just stuck, and everybody calls me Diva now. So he called and he said he was doing the show Divas Live, and I would just suit the jazz singer in the mix. So I said thank you very much, I'll own it. So Divas Live, here we come. You know, I'm lucky that way. I sort of spun the thing that I love into a job for myself, you know. So I'm either performing, and that's seasonal when I get to perform, or I'm coaching voices, and that again is seasonal, or I have these collaborations that I do if I get to do them. Yeah, well, my stint with Digital Rising Star came about with my asking them to work with the singers backstage. I approached Johnny one year because I'd been looking at him and saying, can I please help these young performers because they really need help. From my ear, I was listening to them on the television. And he said, well, maybe you can come on and do that. And the following year they asked me to judge, which is not what I had asked them to do. So I said, well, I'll do it if I actually get to work with the performers. And they said yes, and so there I was, and here I am every year doing this thing. But it's the luck of the draw, really. I consider myself really lucky to still be doing it, because the crew change. You know, they change every year, and they have had a shake-up on the judges panel a couple times, and luckily I've been asked back, I think it's 5 years or 6 years now, so fingers crossed they'll ask me back again this year. They have no idea what they're coming into. They have no idea the rigors of the show. You have to put on a performance every week. You have to rehearse your song, and it's new material, and you know, you have to work with the band, or you have to work with getting your music together. So they have no idea. They think, you know, you just come on and it's that. so the work is often hard. So but last year 2013, oh my gosh, the people who came in, they were on the money. They really knew what they were doing. And the winners, one of them has gone on, two actually went on to perform with Image and Co. And one has launched a solo career, and he's performing on Nival Chetlal, we know, so it's gone from strength to strength since I've been on. And before that with Kay Lane, who is on this Divas Live show. A philosophy I live by. It's funny you should ask that, because I turned 50 on the 31st of December 2013, and I've been asking myself these questions. Okay, so you've made it to your 50-mile mark. What's retrospective, looking back? And one of the philosophies I think I have lived by is to have no fear, or not to have my fears cripple me into not pursuing the things that I want in life. Yeah, so that's my philosophy. Go hard, go brave, no fear. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm driven. Oh my gosh. The best times were the worst times. Isn't that always the way it is? The best times are the worst times. When I'm experiencing the best times in my life are the times that I've experienced. When I got my scholarship, full scholarship, room and board, stipend every month, to do the thing that I love, study voice, because I always knew I wanted to do vocal pedagogy. I wanted to study not only singing, but the voice and the apparatus and how it worked, and I was really curious about it. So in the middle of this thing, I lost my own voice to TB. So I mean, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times, but it turned out to be the best of times again, because I actually learned how not only study theoretically how to use my voice, but actually put my voice back together again so that I could sing again. So yeah, the best of times were the worst of times, and I'm still living it. It's the good times always, though. Humility, and that you don't die from being humbled in life, and it's best to proceed with humility. Childhood, oh my God, it was trauma. No, that's when all, everything was bad in my childhood years. Everything that could possibly be bad that could happen to a child happened to me in my childhood years. So yeah, everything. Poverty is hell, but thankfully I had a mother who envisioned a better life for her children than she had for herself. And even while doing the struggle of trying to get her children educated, and she couldn't do that every year. So it's not every year I was able to go to school, or some years I could, only certain months. And it was only until high school, when I could fend for myself, that I really, did it on that way. Made myself get up, go to school, and my mother would provide me with meals. And I was working at 13, so it was that was not cute. Well, my mother was an immigrant. She came from Grenada in the 1960s, and that was a time of when the CARICOM was supposed to be, the federation was supposed to be happening. So there was this free travel between the islands, and Trinidad had just become independent, and I think they would try, this is what I say, or this is what, politically it may not be correct, but they were trying to pass votes in those days. So they let all the small islanders in, and they gave them the thicket area, the Google plant infested areas, the Laventille Hill, the Barataria Hills, the Digo Martin Hills. So I was born and grew up on the Lady Young Road by the lookout, running wild, and most days, as I said, I couldn't go to school. My mother was a domestic help. When she came here, she came on a banana boat, and walked in the prestigious neighborhoods, knocking on doorbells, asking if they wanted help, domestic. That is how she started. And but I grew up having my mother tell me, listen, let me tell you something. I grew up working in people's kitchens, so you don't have to. So make sure you go to school and learn your work. So that's what I grew up. But I had to fend for myself. And I could tell you the places I worked from the age of 13, it was Caribbean Flower Shop, and then Dem and Men's Fashions there on Henry Street. And then I got a job with Aunty Morez at the record shop, because I was into music. And, and I had to work to pay my voice teacher because I was studying voice. I was curious. Listen, you had to go to work. My mother couldn't afford for music lessons for me, so I had to go find that. So working from an early age was what I did, and I don't know anything else but to work for what I want. And that's why I say I found a way to make my own lifestyle, not through working through any government agencies or anything like that. The work that I get today is because it's by word of mouth. I don't advertise either, so I have to do good work so that people will recommend me to others, and they do, and I'm very, very lucky that way. Yeah. My mother passed away 4 years ago this July the 7th. My father lives and works in St. Thomas. The funny thing is, when my mother came from Grenada to Trinidad, she left my dad behind. So I never knew my father until I was an adult. And he has this story. I can tell the story about the romance between my mother and my father. He has a story that he tells now because we're close again. And about him going to the wharf where the boat took off from Grenada with her on it, coming to Trinidad to look for work. And the birds again. And he tells the story of going to the wharf every month that a boat came from Trinidad, hoping that she was on it. I mean, the heartbreaking stories of people trying to get a better life for themselves. They leave loved ones behind, and families are often fractured, but, yeah. It's a tough life. She would write, they would exchange letters, and she would say, well, I think I've earned enough money, I can come back. And she never got on that boat because she discovered a different life from the one she left. She left working in cocoa plantation, to the easy life. She went from, the field worker to the house worker, which was easier for her. She did not want to go back to working in the cocoa plantation. She had her own home. She did well for herself, and she educated her children. And there were 5 of us. Yeah. It's been an amazing life, and it still is, and I look forward to everything else that is to come, because I can't believe I'm still here, and I can't believe it's this good, and I've stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. I realized that it is good. Every choice that I've made in my life has brought me to this point, and I have absolutely no regrets because I'm still here, and I still have a lot to learn, and I'm still here. Are you kidding me? I'm excited about my son. I'm excited to see him. He's 14 now, and he's almost 6 foot, and he's heading out, and I'm excited about my marriage, and I'm excited about my career still, and I'm excited I'm excited about life. My focus now is to collaborate with as many people as I can, with as many artists as I can. My focus is to work and live in Trinidad now, because I've discovered a better life than the one I left when I left to go study and pursue whatever it is you go and pursue when you're young. And now that I'm back, I'm finding that I can with my birds, and they come and sing for me every evening at sunset. Yeah, so it's a good life. I've had a few breakthroughs, as they say, in my time. Everything that I think I've pursued, I've accomplished. I've worked with Academy Award winners, Pulitzer Prize winners, Nobel Prize winners, Grammy Award winning artists, you know, not wanting to be a star myself, because I've seen and worked with people who are stars, and I see what that takes out of anyone to do that. Yeah, and I don't think I knew I wasn't built for that, but I certainly was built to support an industry that is a star. And I've helped a lot of people along the way. I've worked with Derek Walcott, I've worked with Paul Simon, I've worked with a slew of, you know, of people in the industry who have made it and who are stars. For myself, no, that was never my that was never my guiding light. I just wanted to be a working singer. I am working in a production at the Trinidad Theatre Workshop, which was at the old firehouse, which is where the library is now. And I was having my final night in a run that I had produced with Bernard Hazel and Ricardo Nanton, and it was called Waves of Hope. And it was the final night, and this man was in the audience, and he comes backstage and he's arguing with the producers about using recorded music in a show that was so wonderfully acoustic. But why did you have that girl miming? And they said, well, it was all acoustic and there was nobody miming in the show. Yes, there were two spots, and he pulled out his notes and he was telling them that she was miming here and she was miming there, and they said no, she was singing, and she said no, she wasn't, and they said yes, she was, and come go meet her. And it was Derek Walcott, and he had just won the Nobel Prize for literature, and he had come to the final show of the show, and he took me on tour with him for 4 years on his Nobel laureate tour around the world. That was an OMG moment. Yes.
So that's it. Anything else you wanted to say?
Just thank you very much for entertaining me and having me come on and talk about myself this way. We often feel shy about talking about ourselves, and once we get started, you can't shut us up. So thank you. OMG.